Hey everyone, thank you for joining so far. We'll look to get started in just a couple of minutes. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hey Speakeasy, thank you for joining. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. Hey Danny, thanks for joining. Let me just set this on. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining our session today. So for those of you who may not have met me, my name is Dan. I'm part of the admissions team here at Generation. So my role is to support applicants throughout the application process from start to finish. If at any point you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will be happy to help out. I'll just go ahead and drop my email in the chat for you. Like I said, if you have any questions about your application or the bootcamp itself, you have my email there. Always happy to help out where I can. To give you a little bit of context into who Generation are. So Generation are a charity who prepare, place, and support people into life-changing jobs through our skills bootcamps. So we host a number of skills bootcamps in different areas. And our main aim as a charity really is support applicants who may have barriers to these careers. For example, for IT support, if you haven't been able to access traditional educational pathways like university, or you just didn't have the kind of people around you early on to even know that these pathways are available, we're here to support you to make sure that you have an option to get into this kind of career. Here you can see the regions in which we operate. So currently we're operating just in the UK, in Scotland, Yorkshire, London, Greater Manchester, West Midlands, and Ireland. In addition to this, we are a global charity, so we do operate across a few other countries, France, Hong Kong, the United States, just as examples. But in the United Kingdom, this is primarily the areas which we support. To date, we've helped support over 1,700 people into jobs, and in general, our bootcamp graduation rate is around 90%. 80% of employers that go on to take one of our graduates into a role say that the graduates tend to outperform their peers. So we've been really successful in the quality of applicant that we graduate, and that's shown in the work that they go on to do. 83% of those end up still in their jobs after a year, and 2 and 3 generation graduates were actually promoted in the last year. So a big goal of our charity is not just to support you into your entry-level role in IT support, but to also set you up with the skill sets needed to continue growing and really building a career there. Here you'll find some eligibility criteria for the bootcamp. If you've attended one of our group tasks, you may have already seen this. It's also available on our website and when you do your application. But essentially, you need to be aged 18 and over if you're in the West Midlands and Yorkshire, or 19 and over if you're in London. Resident in London, West Midlands, or Yorkshire. Not currently in education, training, or employment, with the exception if you're on a 0 hours contract. Or part-time work, if it's 15 hours or less, that's completely fine, as long as it doesn't clash with the bootcamp schedule of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. If you're on a fixed-term contract that ends before the bootcamp begins, that is also fine. You need to have the legal right to work and live in the UK. If you're a visa holder, we ask you should have around 15 months remaining until visa expiry. If your visa is coming up on expiry and you've started that renewal process, no worries. We can work with you just to check that's in place ahead of the start date. Currently, we're not able to accept student visas, graduate visas, skilled worker visas, and youth mobility visas. Simple reasoning there being that those all require sponsorship, which at this time we are unable to provide. If you're in London, you need to have lived in the UK or the European Economic Area for the past 3 years. And then finally, just be available for the full-time duration of the program. So like I said, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for the full 9 weeks. Here you can see some of the bootcamp steps. So the bootcamp itself is full-time interactive. As I mentioned just now, it runs from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. There you will also be able to see the bootcamp start date of Monday, December 9th, and it will run through, Monday, December 8th through to March 9th. And there will be a break in between there for the holiday period from around the 20th December, and then you would come back after the new year. All of our IT support bootcamp is completely remote, so you would be accessing it from home. And what that looks like, we'll go over in more detail later on. But essentially, you just join a Microsoft Teams room where you'll be with the instructor and the other learners, and you'll do your learning from there. Here you can see some of the key steps in the bootcamp. So registration and eligibility. I think everyone here should already be at that stage. Complete group task and interview. So if you're successful after completing your IT support task, you'll be invited to complete a group task and interview. Once you have submitted your interview, we will then review it. And if you're successful, you'll be invited to chat with a mentor. So that's someone from our support team who work alongside applicants, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on that later on as well. If you are then successful in getting an offer, you will receive your offer on the 21st of November, and from there you'll be invited to the onboarding ahead of the bootcamp start date on Monday, December 8th. So the bootcamp itself will teach you how to diagnose, troubleshoot, and resolve common incidents related to hardware, software, and more. Navigate ticket management systems such as Jira, Zendesk, and manage tickets effectively. Demonstrate effective communication when working with customers, so both technical and non-technical. And the big draw here is that IT support continues to be a growing sector with more than 24,000 entry-level yearly vacancies across the UK. You don't need to have a background in IT support to apply for this bootcamp, as long as you're someone who's good at problem solving, you enjoy working with people, and you have a real willingness to learn and adapt, then we're happy to take on your application. So why go with Generation for your IT support journey? So the big draw for us, of course, is that our programs are completely free of cost. That includes the bootcamp delivery, the postgraduate support as we help you into an entry-level role, as well as if you need to borrow a laptop, webcam, or Wi-Fi dongle, we will provide that free of charge for the duration of the bootcamp. And you don't have to pay for any of that. That's all covered by our funding partners. We will provide you support both during the boot camp and during the 6 months post-program phase. So we'll go into a little bit more detail there a little bit later. It's completely remote, as mentioned. And again, as I mentioned, laptop, Wi-Fi are provided if required for the duration of the boot camp. And then you can also continue to earn benefits such as universal credit, job seekers allowance. Those aren't interfered by being on boot camp. You can still learn while you earn. We are also effective at what we do. So we are focused on long-term, full-time, permanent jobs. We don't want to just place you into any random job and call it success. In our eyes, success looks like getting you into the IT support field and in a role that's stable and where you can really build a career from it. We will connect you to pre-existing jobs, and what that looks like is we work with a number of employment partners that you'll be connected with and provided with interview opportunities. And we'll also support you with the behaviors and mindsets needed to actually sustain a career in ITS. So what do our boot camps look like? So the delivery itself is instructor-led and runs from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, as I mentioned. And as mentioned before as well, what this looks like is each day you will join a Microsoft Teams room where you'll be met with the instructor and the other learners. The instructor will introduce the concepts that you'll be working on for those days. And then throughout that day, you'll work on those skills needed both by yourself and with the other learners in interactive sessions. To graduate from the bootcamp, we do expect learners to have at least 90% attendance. The expectation for bootcamp is 95% in total, but we understand sometimes things can come up. It is a camera-on environment, so cameras are expected to be on for the full duration of the bootcamp, and we do expect full commitment to the full 9 weeks of the program. So we want to help those people who are at most in need, and with that comes the expectation that if you do receive an offer, you are prepared to commit to the full 9 weeks. For anyone who accepts an offer and then doesn't commit to the full 9 weeks, that potentially has taken away a place from someone else who may have been able to take part on that. So just keep that in mind. If you have any conflicts that you know are coming up, let us know, see if we can work around them. Otherwise, we can also help to defer your application if needed down the line to when you are available. After you finish the 9-week bootcamp, you are then placed with our team for employability support. So they're based in your local region and will help you with hopefully being placed into that first entry-level role. You'll have that support there for a full 6 months. And what that looks like is week-by-week employability sessions, so helping you with CV, cover letters, mock interviews, connecting you to hiring employers, helping support you with interviews for those employers. If you find a role that you're interested in, you can bring it to us and we'll help you apply for that role as well. And then hopefully, say you're placed within the first couple of months, then the remainder of those 6 months would turn into transition support into employment. So helping you prepare your best going into that new role so that you're as confident as can be. Here you can see a little bit about the learning experience for IT support and what makes up the bulk of the 9 weeks you do. So the focus here really is on the behaviors you need, the mindset, and the technical skills. So technical skills are things like, diagnosing, troubleshooting, and resolving common incidents related to hardware, software, mobile devices, networking, security, and operating systems. Navigating ticket management systems and manage tickets effectively. As I mentioned, platforms like Jira and Zendesk. What that looks like is each, in an average IT support role, you would log on for the day, you would access this platform, and you would be able to see all the incidents that are currently active, the steps that have been taken on them, and you can assign those tickets to yourselves and update them with the steps you're taking to resolve those issues. So we'll help you figure out how to navigate that. Maintaining comprehensive notes through those platforms of all customer incidents, and demonstrating effective communication and providing high quality support when working with customers across various channels and across diverse groups. So in any given IT support role, you might be supporting someone who's very comfortable with computers. If you ask them, to make a change to the BIOS, they know exactly what you mean and they'll get it done straight away. On the flip side, you might have a customer with the exact same issue, but they only use computers day to day to send emails, use Excel, Word, things like that, and they'll need you to break down the same solution in a way that they can understand. So we'll teach you how to effectively communicate those things. For behaviors, so the kind of behaviors needed to succeed in the role. So customer focus, providing the best support you can, effective communication, both between clients, your co-workers, technical, non-technical stakeholders, that kind of thing. Working effectively within your team, so knowing who to delegate certain tickets to, what tasks you can take on, which tasks can be escalated, that kind of thing. And being how to be adaptable, so constantly being flexible, being aware, new issues pop up all the time, having the adaptability to resolve them and stay patient and calm in those situations. And then for the mindsets, these are the things we covered earlier that will help you really build a career in IT. So things like personal responsibility, being the most effective you can be in managing your own time and workload effectively through those platforms we mentioned. Having a growth mindset, so being able to identify opportunities available for you to keep progressing, and that ties into future orientation. So what do those opportunities look like, whether they are management pathways, additional certifications, or going into specialized areas such as networking. And finally, persistence. So being persistent, being able to stay confident even when there may be setbacks, and really having the drive to keep growing in that field. Typical day in our classroom. So here you can just see generally what a typical day might look like if you're on boot camp. So you would start the day logging in or reporting any absences at 8:45 in the morning. At 9 in the morning, you would have the daily opening where the instructor would introduce the topics you are covering for that day and how that workload will look like. At 9:30, you'll have a new topic presentation. So the instructor will actually do a presentation on the topic that you're covering, and that'll lead you up to your first break at 10:30. After your first break, you would come back to do some customer-focused role play. So you'd be put in different rooms with the other learners, and you would do interactive role plays, going through different scenarios to help you prepare for those roles. That would lead you up to lunch at 12:30. Lunch is a full hour. You would come back after lunch, do some case study discussions, so talk about real issues that have occurred in the role before, and work through those together to figure out how you would resolve that. You would do that for an hour, and then you would start doing some CV workshop stuff, so workshopping your CV, tailoring it for IT support roles, doing some test labs on our technical platform. So that's the actual interactive technical work that you'll be doing. And then this is getting ready to wrap up at the end of the day around 4, where you'll do your daily reflections, go over what you learned that day, what you enjoyed, what you felt comfortable with, where you think you might need to do a little bit more work. And then from 3:30 to 5, there would be office hours. So if you want to talk one-to-one with the instructor, you'll have that opportunity to cover anything that you think you may still need some additional support on. Speaking about support, this next section will cover what that looks like on bootcamp. So for our own on-program support, we have a great team who specialize in supporting adult learning experiences, helping with motivation and goal setting, developing employability skills, and providing pastoral care and individual well-being care. Hey, Alex, thanks for your question. I will cover that at the end. There'll be a chance to do some Q&A, and I will just address that when I can. In terms of pre-boot camp, what that looks like is we will invite you in for a session with one of our support team, and that's to find out what kind of support needs you might have and how we can do our best to meet those. If should you be successful getting on the bootcamp, we'll then use that information to provide dedicated one-to-one support for you. You'll have one-to-one sessions with your support team, helping you set personal goals, staying motivated, and understanding the role you want and how to develop your employability readiness with that role in mind. And then for the post-bootcamp support, once you graduate, you'll be transitioning to getting you ready for interviews and helping you with your independent job search. In terms of what you will learn, here you can actually see the curriculum. I won't go over this too much since it's got quite a bit of detail, so I'll just let you guys read through that for a moment. And just for anyone who will want to go back to this slide, this session will be recorded, so feel free to return to the video where you'll be able to cover the curriculum in all its detail. But essentially, you'll have a mix of whole class sessions, so everyone in one room, small group tasks in breakout rooms. You'll do individual practice labs using a platform called Test Out, which we mentioned, opportunities for one-to-one support on your employability readiness with your mentor. Hey, Deco. This session is for IT support. The AWS restart, I believe you should be hearing back from it in the next week or so. So I'm just going to move on to the next session. So you've got the curriculum for week 5 through 9. And of course, following week 9, you will then graduate, and that will switch over to your placement phase focus. So again, for anyone who wants to go back and go over this curriculum again later on, the session will be recorded, so you'll have that opportunity. Okay, and finally, we'll start rounding out to the placement phase. So as I mentioned, placement phase is a full 6 months. That covers both while we support you into an entry-level role, as well as once you're placed into an entry-level role. So say you're placed within the first couple of months, the remaining 4 months would be transitioning to helping support you into that new role. And a career in IT support, what might that look like? So it's IT support in general is a mixture of soft and technical skills. So of course you need to be aware of different platforms, different services, but also crucial is actually delivering effective support to the various people you handle. So being patient, showing empathy, and attentiveness to detail all go hand in hand. And in times it's often can be one of the trickier aspects of the role, because you can always learn the technical skills. The soft skills come about a little bit trickier. So we will support you with both of these aspects, and with the hope of getting you into that entry-level role starting at 25K. And usually we see the progression here going to around 35K after 2 to 3 years in the sector. Here you can see a little bit more about the career progression. So IT support technician engineer, what was commonly called first line support. After a couple of years, you may be promoted to senior IT technician / engineer, or second line support, which goes into around 30K. And from here, it kind of branches off in various ways. So you can go into specialized areas like network engineer, systems analyst, go even more senior. But there's a lot of opportunities to keep progressing within this sector. And finally, if you're thinking, is IT support for me after all this? These are some of the key points we want you to kind of think about. Do you feel energized by helping people? Do you enjoy a varied and interesting workload where no 2 days are the same? You're interested in problem solving, and can think of solutions. You value being a generalist with a broad range of knowledge and skills. You appreciate the importance of good communication, especially when customer facing. You like evolving in a supportive team where nobody knows everything in tech. So what you'll often find is you'll have various members of the team specializing in different areas. So you can always have someone to lean on if you come across an issue that you're not particularly familiar with. And in general, you know that tech is the future and you're just not sure where to begin your career. This is a great place for you to start. And finally, we will go through some of the recruitment process. So for most of you, you would have already completed the online application form and the IT literacy test. If you haven't done the IT literacy test, try and get it done this week, as we are coming up to the last couple rounds of interviews. If you're successful with the IT literacy test, you will then be invited to a group task and interview. And this, it says 60 minutes on here, but the group task itself is only 30 minutes. And then the interview is done through a platform called HireView, where you just record your individual response to the 6 questions we ask. And then once you submit that, we will review it. Once you've submitted, we'll review it and invite you back for a one-to-one with someone from our support team. And after this, it'll just be waiting for the final outcome, which will be on the 21st. That's when offers will come out. Here you can see for group task and doc checks and interviews. So we will be doing interviews this week on the 6th and the 7th, as well as next week on the 13th and the 14th. So these will be the 13th and 14th will be the last chance to get in for an interview. Jay, you said you've yet to receive the link for the group interview. In that case, just send me an email after this session. I've just put it there in the chat, and I can have a look at your application and give you some feedback. Okay, so that concludes the information session. Happy to take some questions now. I'm just going to go back and review some of the specific questions we've had. So Renders It, you've asked if we cover Microsoft Intune and ServiceNow in the IT support bootcamp. We don't cover those two. We generally, those are more cloud-oriented softwares. If you are interested in the cloud-oriented stuff, we do cloud boot camps. I know ServiceNow is used in IT support roles, and Intune as well for endpoint device management, but that's specificity. Sorry, a difficult word. That kind of those kind of softwares aren't covered in too much depth in this bootcamp. This is more focusing on the entry level. Alex, you'd asked what percentage of IT bootcamp graduates receive a job offer. So this will vary from from cohort to cohort. It can be dependent on a number of factors. Usually, the more committed someone is during that 6-month placement phase, the quicker and the faster the results we see are. I don't have an exact figure for you right now, but what I can do is I can have a look for that and drop you an email. If you wanna drop me an email after this session as well, just reminding me, and I can try and find that information for you. Speakeasy, you've asked, do you get a qualification or certification for completing this bootcamp? So there is no qualification for completing this specific bootcamp. Instead, what we've done is we've worked with a number of employment partners in the IT sector. And as kind of mentioned earlier, they have hired graduates from us before. They know the quality of graduates that we tend to get out. And in general, the skill sets that we're covering are universal. So fairly transferable from different employers. Renders It, if you are employed, self-employed will work on the weekend. That's completely fine. we may ask for some additional documentation for self-employment. Yeah, we'll ask for some additional documentation, but it should be fine since you only do the weekends. Leo, you mentioned you need to leave each Friday at 12:15 p.m. for Juma. We'll be back after lunch before 1:30. Will that be fine if I'm accepted on the boot camp? Yeah, so if the boot camp, if it's only 15 minutes before lunch, there might be some flexibility around that. And we would invite you over during the one-to-one to talk over what that might look like for you. See if we can make that work. Okay, guys. So I'll be here for another couple minutes. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to ask. You also have my email, so always happy to take more questions through there. Danny, you've asked how much of the course covers cybersecurity. So I want to be clear at this stage. Cybersecurity is only one of the 9 weeks, and it's very much a fundamental for cybersecurity skills. If your main draw for doing this bootcamp is cybersecurity, I would just keep that in mind that it's only a small part of that bootcamp. And in general, we are seeing fewer and fewer cybersecurity roles crop up. And when they do pop up, they tend to be quite, they don't tend to be entry level. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, just keep that in mind that this is primarily an IT support foundational bootcamp. Yeah, for cybersecurity roles in the past, the graduates that have ended up in cybersecurity roles, that has been after going through that first support line role, and 2 to 3 years down the line, they were able to position themselves into a role in the cybersecurity sector. Entry level cybersecurity roles, we're not really seeing much of it at the moment. And when they do come up, there's a lot of competition with them. So just something to keep in mind. But if there's no more questions, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. You have my email. I'll just drop it once more in the chat. If anything does come up, feel free to reach out. If you're still waiting to hear back from your interview, you should be hearing back this week. And in general, look forward to seeing some of you guys in the next coming weeks. No worries. Have a good week all.